Hello and welcome back to the library for another week. This week we're going to be looking at a book by Australian author Mem Fox and illustrated by Julie Vivas. This is one of my favourite books and you may have read it before, but it's such a beautiful book with wonderful illustrations. If you haven't guessed already, it's called Possum Magic and I hope that you enjoy it.
Hello, I'm Mem Fox and I write stories for children and I'm going to read 3 of them right now. The very first one is Possum Magic, illustrated by Julie Vivas. Here we go. Once upon a time, but not very long ago, deep in the Australian bush lived 2 possums. Their names were Hush and Grandma Poss. Grandma Poss made bush magic. She made wombats blue and kookaburras pink. She made dingoes smile and emus shrink. But the best magic of all was the magic that made Hush invisible. What adventures Hush had! Because she couldn't be seen, she could be squashed by koalas. Because she couldn't be seen, she could slide down kangaroos. Because she couldn't be seen, she was safe from snakes, which is why Grandma Poss had made her invisible in the first place. But one day, quite unexpectedly, Hush said, "Grandma, I want to know what I look like. Please, could you make me visible again?" "Of course I can," said Grandma Poss, and she began to look in her magic books. She looked into this book, and she looked into that. There was magic for thin, and magic for fat, magic for tall, and magic for small. But the magic she was looking for wasn't there at all. Grandma Poss looked miserable. "Don't worry, Grandma," said Hush. "I don't mind." But in her heart of hearts, she did. All night long, Grandma Poss thought and thought. The next morning, just before breakfast, she shouted, "It's something to do with food, people food, not possum food, but I can't remember what. We'll just have to try and find it." So later that day, they left the bush where they'd always been to find what it was that would make Hush seen. They had Anzac biscuits in Adelaide, Mornay and Minties in Melbourne, steak and salad in Sydney, and pumpkin scones in Brisbane. Hush remained invisible. "Don't lose heart," said Grandma Poss. "Let's see what we can find in Darwin." It was there, in the far north of Australia, that they found a Vegemite sandwich. Grandma Poss crossed her claws and crossed her feet. Hush breathed deeply and began to eat. "A tail," shouted both possums at once, for there it was, a brand new visible tail. Later, on a beach in Perth, they ate a piece of pavlova. Hush's legs appeared, so did her body. "You look wonderful, you precious possum," said Grandma Poss. "Next stop, Tasmania." And over the sea they went. In Hobart, late one night, in the kitchens of the casino, they saw a lamington on a plate. Hush closed her eyes and nibbled. Grandma Poss held her breath and waited. It's worked, she cried, and she was right. Hush could be seen from head to tail. Grandma Poss hugged Hush, and they both danced, "Here we go round the Lamington plate till early in the morning." From that time onwards, Hush was visible. But once a year, on her birthday, she and Grandma Poss ate a Vegemite sandwich, a piece of pavlova, and half a lamington, just to make sure that Hush stayed visible forever. And she did.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. I want you to have a think. If there was a special magic that needed to turn you from being invisible to visible, and there was a special food that would help you do that, I wonder what it would be. Could it be a Vegemite sandwich? Or a pavlova? What would be your favourite foods? Okay, for this week, there are some activities that follows. There is a piece of paper that is attached on your worksheets, and you can pick whether you would get somebody else in your family to help you cut that out, or if you're going to cut that out and you can stick it in the right order. One of your other options is to write down how to make a Vegemite sandwich. And if you don't know how to make a Vegemite sandwich, you might want to write down how to make your favourite sandwich. And that could help turn you from being invisible to visible, just like Hush. Your last option is to draw a picture of Hush doing something with her friends from the story. Once again, it's your choice. You pick, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.